right, guys, and welcome back to another episode of I Said Too Much podcast. So, thank you for tuning in this week. Happy Friday. I'm so glad I switched to Friday uploads. It just makes so much more sense. If you're watching this on YouTube, hello, how you doing? Nice to see you guys. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new here. I feel like everyone says that. Like, everyone on YouTube says that. But what else do you say? So today we are going to be talking about a case. No, nothing crazy like that. But I recently watched the Jesse Smollett Netflix documentary on his case, and I thought it was so interesting and something to go through. I never followed the case when it was happening in real time because there was so much happening in real time. This happened in like 2019 to 2020. Like it was like Donald Trump was president. So much was happening during that time. Like I just didn't keep up with it. I'm gonna be honest. I still don't even know the outcome. Well, I know he like goes to court and stuff like that, but I didn't watch the end of the documentary, and I'm not really here for that. We're here to just talk about my opinion. I would love to know what you guys think about this case in the comments. Um, and yeah, is there anything I need to say before this? Yeah, actually there is. I think when it comes to Netflix documentaries, I think one thing to always remember is that there's always an objective. And whether that is a person they want to seem like less guilty, more innocent. Yeah. There's always an agenda with Netflix. I think that's a big thing we have to remind ourselves. And when you're watching Netflix documentaries, if you watch the Amy Bradley Netflix documentary that is the woman who disappeared off the cruise ship, there's always an agenda that's trying to be pushed. There's always things that they're going to leave out to push that agenda. So I just want to remind you of that. I love a Netflix documentary, but I just want to remind you that there is somewhat a bias in all of their documentaries, and I think that's very important to bring to the light before talking about the Jussie one. Like I said, I do not know what I think about this case. I think there was a lot of holes. I think there was a lot of corruption within the Chicago Police Department at the time. But yeah, I just don't know. There's always, what is it? Two truths and a lie? Is that what people say? Is that the saying? I don't know. But let's get in. I have physical notes today. Usually I have notes on my phone, but I took physical notes this time and I didn't have a chance to like put them on my phone. So you're gonna have to hear me rustle with some paper, but it's my notes. So basically, if you don't know, Jussie Smollett was played in Empire. He was one of the sons on Empire. He was gay. In the show, he's LGBTQ in real life too as well. He is a very big activist. He was very vocal about what was going on at the time with the Black Lives Matter movement. His mom used to be a Black Panther. Like he is like honestly like he's an activist. Like I will say I didn't keep up with this case. I've said this multiple times. I didn't keep up with the case then. I don't keep up with him now. I don't know what he's been up to now. I think a lot of people don't believe him when it comes to this case. I think a lot of people from that part of the United States don't believe him because if you don't know, this takes place in 19 and is during the polar vortex. And if you don't remember the polar vortex during that time, it was extremely cold in that part of the world. Like extremely, extremely cold. Like people weren't going to school. Like barely any snow on the ground, but like people weren't going to school. People weren't like even colleges weren't going to classes. Like I remember there's this girl I follow on TikTok, Alexis. She went to college in Detroit at that time, and she was saying how like the fire marshal almost like called for the arrest of the dean of her college because they had not canceled classes yet and it was that cold. Like it was not safe for people to go to classes, walk to and from classes because it was that cold. So that is a big thing as to why people do not believe him, because basically let's get into it. Basically, Jussie gets back into Chicago late and he decides to walk to get food. There's no food in his home, so he's like, I'm going to go get food. And so he says in the Netflix documentary originally that he was going to go to Walgreens, pick something up, but Walgreens closed. The Subway was still open. I want to note there's other people in the Subway with him. Like he even says it. He's like, the Subway was 24 hours for a reason. There was other people in the Subway with me. I'm in there getting food the same way they are in there getting food. So that is like his big thing too as well. Like he wasn't the only person out that night. Like other people were in there getting food just like he was. And so he goes, gets his food, and on his walk home, he hears like someone call out Empire, and then they say like a slur towards him. I'm not going to repeat the language that was repeated in the documentary. If you want to know what they say, go watch the documentary. And so basically, these two guys come up to him. They're wearing ski masks, and he can clearly say that either they're white men because that you can still see like the this part of the face in the ski mask. And he just remembers them like just punching him, and like he tries to fight back, but he eventually gets away and goes back to his apartment, condo, whatever you want to call it. And when he is walking back to his house, he realizes he has a noose around his neck. And so he calls his creative director and tells him what happened. And the creative director calls 911 and basically puts it like, oh, he didn't want to call, like he didn't want to do it, but I think we need to report this. So the police come and take a statement. He still has the noose around his neck. And they take a statement, blase, blase. And basically what they do is they start with the security cameras. Okay, can we see these people? And so they eventually track two males, and they're using like ride shares to like track their movement. So while they're waiting on like the ride share information, this goes so viral. It is everywhere that he was attacked. People, so many actors, actresses are like basically tweeting, sharing videos, standing with him. Even Donald Trump commented on it. Like, it was a hate crime. It was a hate crime, and like the worst possible time for a hate crime, because like I said, it's like during 2019, 2020 BLM movement. And so the Chicago Police Department was already like, fuck, this is the wrong time to be dealing with this. So they wanted to get it as soft as quickly as possible so they could kind of just, move on from all of it. And so basically once they get the rideshare information back and they figure out like where those people went, it comes back to two Nigerian descent men. I have their names written down. I'm not going to butcher those names, okay? So they bring them in, and they're basically not talking to the police. Like, they decide not to talk to the police. Their mom calls an attorney. Okay, and so here's the connection. Both of the two African descent men, African Americans, have worked on Empire, and one is currently training Jussie. So they're like, weird. You already have a connection to this man. That's crazy. And so I think that's when the police quickly are like, we don't know. There's a reporter in the Netflix documentary that states, hey, I called for a comment and they were like, we don't believe him. Like, we have our suspicions and we think this might be fabricated, basically. Let's sleep. And so the lawyer comes and they have like text messages of Jussie being like, I need a favor. The brothers claim that Jussie offered to pay them $100 so they claim Jussie claims to offer them $3,500 to basically attack him. And they say it's because he had been receiving death threats already. Fox wasn't taking them serious because Empire is a Fox show. Fox wasn't taking it serious. And so he wanted the attack to happen to kind of bring light to the death threats. And then at one point, they also claimed that he wanted to be paid more. But I don't get how him being attacked through a hate crime would get him paid more. I don't know. It's just all very weird. So basically, once they start working with the brothers, that's the only evidence they have. And so they bring Jussie in solely based off of the brothers' claim that he wanted to fabricate the story. And so he's like, no, like I have no, like Jussie to this day remains adamant that he does not, he is not fabricating the story. And I will say, there is an element of the two brothers that is very weird in the Netflix documentary. There were times where I was just kind of like, what? Like, they interview them in what looks like a barn. One is wearing a cowboy hat, which cool. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It was just weird. And one says a line where he's like, we just try to be good guys and we just got like wrapped up in this. But the only weird part about it was it felt so random. Like, okay, like, I don't know. It was just like their interview. It's like even how they're talking. It's like they're trying to talk. So I wouldn't say professional. I don't know what it is, but something about their interview did feel off. Like, and I think at this point, this is like one of those cases. If you've ever watched the Staircase documentary on Netflix, and this is like that. Like, the more you hear, I agree with Jussie. I think he set it up. Oh, I don't. know. That's how I felt the whole time. I didn't even finish it because I was like, I don't think anything else I can hear right now will like change how undecided I am on this case. And guys, I don't know. I don't know. So, but I will say the main part of this case that kind of had me like side-eyeing is the brothers' interviews during the Netflix documentary. If you're gonna watch this, Actually, I just would say I highly recommend watching this because that is the main time where I was like, I do not think I believe them because their interviews were just so weird. It's like they were just trying so hard to push a narrative of like, we're really good guys. Like, we're the good guys. He is the bad guy. Like, we were just trying to make extra money. Like, we thought this would like help us. Like, we are the good guys. And so I think just trying to really, really push that is the part that just had me like side eye. So after the brothers started to cooperate, this is when Jussie goes on Robin Roberts' show. And he's basically like, he's very emotional. The one thing that stands out, and they play this quote twice, is that he says to his friend, I just want them to catch them. And the friend goes, they're never going to catch them. And I do think they play this quote twice to kind of like, okay, I think they're trying to make us feel like that's a weird thing to say. Like, did your friend really say, oh, they're never going to catch them? Like, I think that's why they put that quote in there and they put it in there twice. It's trying to like bring this seed of doubt. And so they bring him in and they basically arrest him. They're like, you are arrested for fabricating this story. Like I will say there is a detective that does interviews for this case. They start the episode on her and she's like, this is the only time I'll talk about this case and I'll probably never talk about this case ever again after this. And I personally thought that was really weird. Like you could tell there's a lot of animosity between Jussie and the Chicago Police Department, which is, I mean, I guess I get it because when you fabricate stories, you like take away resources that could be used in other places. But it was just it was very weird the way in which they talk about it. For me is it just was like from the beginning, there's this black guy, I think he's like the chief of police, or don't quote me on that, but he is like, well, when I got there, you can watch the body cam footage of when they get into Jussie's apartment. They're like, when I got there, he still had the noose around the neck. And as someone who grew up in the deep South, that is such a reaction for us Black people that like you would never keep it on there. Like that's when things got fishy to him. And Jussie was like, well, I kept it on there because I thought they needed to see it. And they were like, he just kind of like takes it off his neck and kind of like, when you take a rope and you like wrap it, that's what he does. And he was like, that just felt so weird to me. And I think that's the part that rubbed me the wrong way, where it's like, well, I don't think we know what we would do in that situation. Like, yes, I want to think that if someone racially attacked me and they put a noose around my neck, that would be the first thing I'd take off and I would run home. The only thing about like the crime scene to me that doesn't make sense is he has his bag of Subway and you can see him walking through his building to get back into his apartment, and the Subway looks perfect. And I think that's the only thing that I think causes me some like suspicion is like the bag is like perfect. It doesn't look like it's been dropped. It doesn't look like it's been like thrown like or well, I guess you couldn't really tell if it was smushed or not, but like me personally, like I said, you can always say like, oh, I would do this, oh, I would do this. I think I probably would have dropped the bag. Like the roads kind of look like a little icy, a little wet, like that if you were to get an altercation, you would be like slipping around. So I do think I would probably drop the bag if I was in that situation. And he doesn't. Like he walks back and he still has a grasp on that bag. If nothing else, he got his Subway. Like I would be interested to know, like, was the Subway smushed? Like, was this like, because the bag just looks so pristine. He's clearly like stumbling and kind of like knocked. Like, I mean, he looked injured when the police body cam footage. He looks like he's been in a scuffle, but like that Subway bag is like really what does it for me when I'm like, I really don't know. But the attorney general at the time basically is like, if you he gets arrested, he goes to jail, and he pays a bond to get out. And she basically like, if you forfeit your bond, which was like $10,000, I'll let you go. Like we won't proceed with the charges, blase blase. And this right there, like the Chicago Police Department, the mayor, everybody was so pissed about this. Kim Foxx was the attorney at the time. She got so much heat for letting him off without any like formal charges, without taking it to trial. Like she caught a lot of heat for this. And so they basically brought in a special attorney general to prosecute the case and take him to trial. And Jussie and his lawyer were shocked by this. They were like, we never expected, like when they made that deal with Kim Foxx, they never expected to go back to trial. And this is the part where I was like, I don't think this is right. Like this was the part where I'm like, okay, if it happened or if it didn't happen aside, he made a deal with the attorney general. That's signing paperwork. That's doing the things like you forfeited $10,000 that you'll never get back to the attorney general. And now you're saying, no, we're bringing in and it's the fact that they bring in a special attorney general to trial it. Something about that just never sat right. Like afterwards, I think that's why I kind of became uninterested in the ending, because I'm like, that's insane that can happen. Like you were like, okay, this attorney general did not do what I wanted, so I'm gonna bring in a special attorney general, and they're gonna renege on what Kim Foxx set up just to prosecute him. I think at that point it was more like hell have no fury like a woman scorned, and the police were scorned. The police were scorned that he got to walk away. And like I said, I understand it. False accusations take up a lot of police time and police resources, and especially during like the polar vortex, like that those resources could be going somewhere else. So I do understand the need of being like, no, you falsified a crime, you need to go to trial, do time, whatever. Now, this is where it starts to get a little weird. And I'm like, well, you want him to go to trial so badly for this case, but did you investigate the case as he said it? So basically, at the beginning of the documentary, when they're telling you about the case and they're telling you about the investigation, they tell you about they used CTV footage to track two people that they saw on the road, and then they used like taxis, rideshare, and all that because they saw them get in and out of cars to then track them to like a house. And that's how they got the name of the two brothers, and that's how they found out these two brothers worked on the Empire set and how they all that. There were two eyewitnesses to seeing white males on the street that day. One worked in a laundromat, and he told the same story multiple times that he saw these white males. Okay, there was a lady who lived in Jussie's building. She took her dog out and she saw a white male with a rope in her hand, and she remembers it because as a woman she was so focused on this man with the rope in his hand, that she was hyper aware of his presence. She saw him, she knew he was there. And I feel like, me personally, I mean, I might be a little biased because I'm also a woman, but me personally, I'm going to believe the woman. If you're outside as a woman walking your dog and you see a man so many feet away with a rope, you are going to be hyper aware of that man's presence. And you're going to watch that man like a hawk until you get back into the safety of your building. And she goes like on to say, like, the next day when she found out about what had happened to him, she tells her friend, my God, I saw the guy. I was outside and I saw a white male in the ski mask with a rope. I'm not doubting that I'm not doubting for a second that woman saw that man. Like, not at all. And so that's sort of thing where it's like, alongside all of this, Chicago was going through this period of time, the Chicago Police Department, where they were up against so many charges of corruption in the Chicago Police Department. Like, they were very well known at this point in time for being very corrupt. And so couple that with one of the responding officers had he was literally just got done with a case about like corruption and like not doing what he was supposed to do and all that. So it's like, how am I supposed to trust these people? There's two eyewitnesses accounts. There is literally security footage of where they catch two white males, but there's 10 seconds missing of that. It's like someone found that footage and found that there was 10 seconds missing. So it's like, as much as it's like, okay, Jussie's story doesn't make sense, blase, the cops' investigation doesn't make sense. I think it's only right that I give you guys a conclusion of this case. So I'm looking at my computer right now, and the criminal case against Jesse Smollett concluded in his favor with the Illinois Supreme Court overturning his 2021 conviction in November 2024, stating his due process rights were violated due to the prior non-prosecution agreement. And this is the part I went back to. Him and Kim Fox made that deal. They made an agreement stating you basically sign the rights over to whatever bond you paid. He paid like $10,000. He doesn't get that back. And we're not going to prosecute any charges. The decision made his conviction for filing a false police report was nullified, his probation and jail time dismissed, and the charges are now officially dropped. Separately, a civil lawsuit by the city of Chicago seeking reimbursement for the investigation costs remains unsolved. The reports indicate in May 2025 a settlement where someone made a charitable donation of $50,000 probably to the Chicago Police Department. And I get it. Taking away from police resources, especially when there's basically, I think there was a state of emergency going on at the time due to the polar vortex. So I get it. You're taking away from the resources that could be going somewhere else. But it was the re-prosecution after my head. It was it was the bringing in the special attorney to file new charges against him that just never made sense. I was like, how is that? I was literally watching that. How is that illegal? How is that legal? How is that allowed to happen when he made that deal and signed off on that deal? And his lawyer was even like, we were blindsided by that. Blindsided. And I don't get why, if they felt so strongly about it, why they didn't just do a civil case. Let's look. I'm looking up Reddit, the theories people have on Reddit. I'm just doing episode research during the episode, but I just want to see so this one says police in general are pretty bad at their jobs. The Chicago Police Department in particular is knowingly corrupt. The reason they had for framing him was to make them look good and take pressure off from all the dumb shit the cops had been fucking up on. It didn't come across as very credible, but neither did the two brothers. The evidence that was presented in the documentary is pretty compelling, though that the incident did occur as Jussie said it did, with witnesses corroborating. We will probably never know if it was made up or not. And that's my thing. We will probably never know, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. Like I said at the beginning, there's two truths. I'm just going through different Reddit theories. Like I said, we will literally never know. We will never know what happened. A lot of people claim that he lied to further his Black Lives Matter agenda. There's one part of the documentary that I think people kind of use that to corroborate that he was lying. So basically he has a performance in LA, I think, a few days after, and everyone's like, we can cancel it. We don't have to do this. I think we should cancel it. And he's like, no, we're going to do it. And it is very much the most uplifting LGBTQ Black man. I'm not saying that in a condescending way, but that's what happens. And it is very inspiring. It was a packed house where people left moved by it because what had happened to him. So some people are did he fake it to push an agenda? Blase, blase. And then there was a theory, like I said, some people's theory were oh, he did it so he can make more money. I don't know how that would have he gets fired. Fox fires him, and they write him out of Empire 2 episodes after that. He pretty much, the thing that stands out to me is if he's lying, he blackballed himself. I just feel okay, if you create the story, for whatever reason you create the story, you fabricate this, the two brothers are telling the truth, cool, and then you get arrested for lying. At that point, you should just admit if it was a lie or not, because whatever you wanted to come out of it is definitely not going to happen now. You're definitely, whatever credit, whatever push you wanted for that to help you with, once you get arrested and they're saying you are lying, you're not going to get any of that. No one's going to be no, in a world where it's easier to be safe than sorry, nobody is going to go back and be well, yeah, actually, we're still going to, there was no way Fox was still going to support him, even if he's telling the truth. So I think that's where my head is at with the whole thing after watching it. And I didn't watch the ending. Jussie himself is in it and talks heavily about his thoughts and everything that while it was going on. And I will say the polar vortex is a big reason why people think he's lying, because they were one, people are going to be out in ski mask, and they're not called ski masks, they're called I think it's culturally what you call it. Black people call them ski masks, other people call them baklavas. I don't know if that's right. Don't quote me on that. I don't think that's what they're called. But something with a B. But it's basically where they cover your whole face and it's just like this open. A lot of people think he's lying because it's like, okay, why were you out during the polar vortex? Which I can see because it was so cold. Like I remember I think it was even cold like regionally everywhere else, but like there it was like, oh, let's look. Oh, on January 31st in 2019, it was negative 21 degrees. So that's why a lot of people believe he's lying. The wind chill plunged it to 50 degrees below zero. So that's why a lot of people think he's lying and don't believe his story, because they were like, as someone who had the money he had, why would he personally walk and try to go find food after getting off his flight? Like he could have like there's basically services for that. I mean, I personally think what services, it would probably be harder to find a service to deliver you food during that time because it was so cold. Like if you, as someone who has money, is not going out to get food, I think even if you really desperately needed money and needed to like I don't know, he could have called, I guess people are like, he could have called a car. Like that is a big, like what I've seen on TikTok recently is a big reason people think he's lying is because they think like it was so cold that day and during the polar vortex, there's no way someone with his amount of money would go out and get food on his own because of how cold it was. And then I think you can also argue that another way, like why would people be attacking other people on the street when it's that cold outside? I would be interested to know if like the crime rates dropped during the polar vortex. Hold on. I'm saying that like honestly, I would love having my. So after looking at Google, there's no like definite answer, but it says, oh yeah, okay. So this says in 2019 polar vortex, Chicago experienced historically low, life-threatening temperatures. The wind chill reached as low as negative 51 degrees. This extreme weather paralyzed the region, prompting the closure of businesses and schools, keeping millions indoors. Fewer people on the streets directly led to fewer opportunities for crime. And it says, for example, one analysis of shootings in Chicago from 2012 to 2016 found that the hotter temperatures correlated with higher rate of gun violence, which is true because in that documentary they mentioned that like Ken Fox comes in as Attorney General in 2016, and that was like the bloodiest year for Chicago since like the 80s. So they say it typically leads to a drop in street crime. So that is a big contingency for a lot of people who talk about this case, is that they're like, we just don't believe that this would have happened when it was so cold. I'm not going to look it up, but it would be interesting to see what the temperature was that night. And at first I was like, dang, why was he even in Chicago? But they filmed Empire in Chicago. But yeah, I think for me is like he has maintained his innocence this whole time. And the only reason why I feel like this, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, is like if you're going to maintain your innocence the whole time, once you realize that the public is not going to be with you in the way that you thought they would be with you, why not just say you are lying? Why not just admit to it? I guess it does look bad, like either way. But once Fox fired him, I think if he was lying, I guess not to go to jail. I guess that's one reason not to admit, but I guess you could just plead guilty and try to take like some type of plea deal. But were they even going to offer him a plea deal after they like reneged on his non-prosecution? So I don't know. I just think if you're going to get blackballed, whatever you did at that point, you should just admit to. Because he has not done anything since then. Like his career took a major hit after that, of course. And you know what sucks? I feel like his sister's career even took a major hit after that too as well. I don't think people like to correlate the two, but in my opinion, I think his sister's career also took a hit because of what happened to him. I don't know, guys. Definitely comment and let me know what you think, because I'm so torn. When I tell you, if you go watch a Netflix documentary, you are going to go back and forth like the whole time. Like I touched on a lot, but there's still so much more to the case if you watch it. And like when you watch it, you can see like the what is that called? CTV footage if you watch it. But I don't know. It's so hard for me to decide. Like sometimes it's very hard for me to like be like, why? the why is, in this case, the why is like so wild to me too. The why for faking it, the why for putting it all together, and I didn't say this. Oh my God, I did not say this. He claims that the $3,500 he paid to the brother was for steroids. He was like, he had a little bit of a pooch and he was trying to get rid of the pooch. Okay, so he was doing like, he was going to invest in, apparently they're like legal. It's a type of steroids that's like legal in Chicago and or Illinois. He was going to have him get those for him because one of the brothers was his personal trainer and that's what he was looking for. And the brothers also say they did used to like get him like weed and stuff every once in a while. But so yeah, I don't know. I think I gotta sit up for my like final. I really, I'm gonna say it's really hard for me to say. It's really hard for me to draw a conclusion. We'll never know. We'll never know. Like, unless he gets old one day and wants to be like, yeah, I was fucking lying. But we'll never know. I just think like once you're getting blackballed, bro, just fucking admit to it. Like I said, I think the worst part of it is I do personally feel as if his sister's career took a hit on his behalf. His sister was in a show called Lovecraft Country on HBO. It was her and Jonathan Majors and Michael Kenneth Williams, I think, are like the main characters of that one. And it is canceled. They do one season and it's canceled after 2020. And like I said, I personally think her career took a hit because of what he did. I personally think it was kind of like the last name. Like, think about it. Your brother is going through all this controversy and then you walk into castings with the same last name. I truly think that her career took a hit on his behalf. Like, she really hasn't done much since Lovecraft. Like, there's like 2 other things on here since then. She's in I don't know if this is a show or a movie. She's in a show now called Smoke. Might have to watch that. But then she did Lou. What's that? That's a Netflix. She did a Netflix movie in 2022. So it's Lovecraft Country in 2020. And then she does the Netflix movie in 2022. And now she's in a show in 2025. So I don't know. I just feel like, and I will say, Lovecraft Country was abruptly canceled. There is a big controversy on that show being canceled. They claim it's because, so it's based off of a story, and they say, HBO officially stated Lovecraft Country's cancellation was due to a lack of clarity for season 2 after the first season covered the entirety of the novel. I watched that show. I think they could have done a season 2. I think they could have made something happen for season 2. But I don't know. That is just my theory. I personally feel like her career has taken a hit because of this whole thing. So I just feel like if you also had a sister who was in like had a budding acting career, why would you lie and force something like this to happen when you didn't know if that could affect her or not? So I don't know. That's just my theory. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. These are one of those things. Like, I know I mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, like Amy Bradley's Netflix documentary. That's another one I go back and forth on. Netflix has a good way of letting you know, like, I'm gonna be kind of biased, so you can just be not decisive about what you think. For me, that's the best way to put it. It's like they want you to be divisive about what you think about the case. But yeah, that's it for this one. Let's get right into the song of the week. Okay, so for the song of the week this week, this is, I never know how to say this man's name. I need to be better about figuring this stuff out, but I think it's Davido. I don't know. He does Afro beats. He came out with an album this year called 5, and he has a song with Victoria Monet called Off of Me. So good. Victoria Monet sounds so good in this song. That is the main reason why I like the song so much. Honestly, the whole album is really good. Like, I've listened through most of it. So amazing album on his part. I mean, he always comes out with good music. I always enjoy his music. But Off of Me with Victoria Monet, like, I don't know whose ear was like, Victoria Monet needs to be on this, but whoever decided that, you need a raise. If it was Davido himself, I don't know, but whoever was like, this part of the song needs to be sung by her, they ate on that one. They did such a good job. But yeah, that's my song of the week. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, girl. No, like, comment, and subscribe. You can listen, if you want to listen on audio, you can find me wherever you listen to podcasts. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. I love you like always, and I will see you next week.